I love making something out of nothing. I'm not trained, but I am brave and determined. Of course, I could hire a professional, but DIY first. One thing at a time. So the next project is going to be to do the miter saw station and to try to figure out how to get that functional in the way that I need it to be. Okay guys, so the next area that we're going to be working on is this area here, which is the miter saw area. Essentially, this is the miter saw station in addition to main storage for the workshop, but the miter saw will go here. Obviously, this area is much bigger than it needs to be for the miter saw itself, but I want to have some kind of dust collection underneath here. And so I think this area is going to work pretty good to get that done. The method that I use is basically just a shop vac with, I can't remember what you actually call it, but it's like the separator with the bucket. That's the most economical method of dust collection that I could find. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I have two shop vacs, so one will go here and the other one will be for the table saw. In addition to the miter saw itself and the shop vac with the bucket attachment and all of that, I also have the switch that I showed you guys in a previous video when I made this little cart here as like a mobile dust collection cart. The reason I made that cart is because the original idea I had for my workbench was to have dust collection underneath the workbench. But after I built it, the space was too small. It wasn't tall enough to hold the shop vac underneath it. So I made a mobile cart basically that had a switch on it that you could plug in the shop vac and the table saw, and they could both come on at the same time. So that's going to be the idea over here. I have one of those switches and I may get a second one to go on the workbench itself, but since we're focused on this area, I'm going to move it over here. Also, I thought about incorporating that kind of mobile cart type system into this area so that the dust collection system actually can pull out and be mobile and then can push back in, but when it's in, that it would look like a cabinet door. Now I may be getting too ambitious with that, I don't know, but that's kind of an idea that I had. So will I do that? I don't know, but I might. I'm gonna go ahead and build out this area here for the miter saw and kind of start figuring things out from there. Can I also say I think I have a problem with wood because I got this box of wood here. It's pretty heavy because it's full of smaller scraps. I got this whole rack here that's got just like wood just piled up on here. There's wood under the workbench, wood over there on that table. I can't wait to get to the point where I can go through this wood and make some decisions. But I am, like I said, gonna try to use up some of this scrap as much as I can, where I can. Maybe I can use some of these pieces for drawer fronts or something for some of the smaller cuts. I don't know, but something's gonna have to give with all this wood. I did roll this in, this cart, and I mean, obviously it fits in here, but it sticks out too far. So I don't know. I'm gonna put the other, let me just test some stuff out. So it looks like this, like these two items will fit under here. I'll have to double check to make sure it's not too tall, but I don't think it will be. So it looks like these will work in here by themselves without the rolling cart. So I think that I'm gonna try to install these under here, and I will just put doors in front of it like it's an open cabinet, but there won't be a cabinet there. They'll just be sitting on the floor like they are now. And I think that's gonna be the best way to do this little area here. So I'll need to make a platform for the miter saw to sit on top of here, and then figure out some kind of way to be able to put doors on the front of here. Those are gonna be some pretty big doors, but anyway, when I get to the door section, I'll have to figure that part out. But for right now, I think this is going to work to house some form of dust collection for the miter saw itself. Okay, so the span across this gap is 41 3/4. Let's just say 42 just to be on the safe side. I have this little notch here, so if I cut that off, then this is, let's just say 32 inches, because this part down here, there's some damage. So I'll need about 10 inches, which I can for sure get 10 inches off of here, no problem. So here's what I'm thinking or trying to figure out. I'm trying to visualize what it would look like if I did kind of a two-tone top over here. So the two outside, there will be two outside strips that are this light color, and then the middle part will be this dark color. I'm wondering what that would look like. I'm trying to visualize it and I can't really picture it, but I do know that this dark color kind of, I think, will go with the paint that I already have. And this piece may actually be more than what I need. I have this piece too, and that's a little too short. A little bit too short if I do a full 24 inches. Yeah, so I think it'll be these two pieces here. So I guess the next thing I need to do is figure out, are these two pieces the same thickness? Because I do know plywood comes in different dimensions and it can be a little bit confusing for me because they don't just say 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. It's like 5/16 or 13/16 or something. I don't know. So let me check the thickness on these. Let's see. Where's my little tool? Okay, they are the same. So I'll just figure out the dimensions, how I want to cut these, and see what we come up with. Oh, let me also find my brace pieces. Okay, so I have found some scrap wood that I think I can work with to create the frame. So the frame is going to have to be like a box with two supports in the middle, since I'm going to be doing the two-tone countertop situation. So I have this long piece of wood that I took off from the cabinet that I tore down. I'm going to use this as the front of the frame. I'll need to check the height of this plus the countertop to make sure that I'm not making it too low for the shop vac to roll out from underneath there. So I'll double check that. I can rip this down if I need to, but I think that this will make a good front piece. And then I also have these pieces of 2x4 that I think will be long enough to go to make the brace pieces in between these two. It's not pretty, but it's not going to be seen, so it doesn't really matter. And whichever piece I put on the front, I could just paint it the dark paint color, and it'll just blend in with everything else. So I am going to measure the height of the miter saw, and I'm going to put that one piece of plywood underneath here so I can get an accurate measurement. The reason I need to make sure that I have the height correct is because I need the top of the table saw to be level with the countertop on the cabinets. When I put a piece of wood across, I need it to sit flat, and I may even want this to be down, maybe just like a 1/16 or 2/16 of an inch below the countertop, just as a little extra allowance. But I'm just going to bring my I forget what you call this, but this little square here with the straight edge on it, and I'm going to measure from the top of the miter saw down to the tabletop with the countertop piece in place. And this should give me a square line, a depth line. And so this will be the line that this is the line where the brace piece will need to be on the cabinet itself. This is the height. Okay, so that's the line. That's the depth, how far down the brace pieces need to go. Then the countertop will go on top of that, and then the miter saw on top of that. So that's my line. So now this line I can now transfer over to the cabinet itself, and I can just trace this line all the way across on both sides, and that will give me, am I doing this right? I think this is right. So even though I don't even though what I'm thinking about here is I am measuring where the brace goes, but because I don't have a countertop on this side, I'm gonna just use this piece here because it's about the same thickness as the countertop will be once I figure out which piece I'm gonna use. And so I'm going to draw the line, and obviously if I mess it up, I can adjust it, but I'm gonna draw the line. Let's just do it. Right, that's one. Okay, so just in like testing out my measurements here, it looks like this is right. The miter saw will come about, you know, to here, and it looks like there's about a 3/4 inch gap there. So I'm gonna go with that, and hopefully my measurements are correct. I think I need the front piece to be flush with the front of the cabinet, not necessarily the front of this countertop, but with the front of the cabinet, so that when I do put doors on, it will be even with the drawer fronts that'll be here. Okay, so the brace is done and it feels pretty solid. So the next step is to cut down the plywood to make the top. Well, what do we think about the two-tone top? I think it'll be fine, especially with what I'm thinking about doing for the drawer fronts. I think it'll go together nicely. And also it allowed me to use up a couple of more pieces of scrap, which is good. I think this is going to be a good base for the miter saw. So I am going to pause right here so I can go in the house and get some rest and process the next steps. This piece is not attached yet. I think I want to leave it unattached until I can figure that part out. But yeah, so I got these two down and I was able to cut it pretty good. Like, it's pretty even here in the front. So I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm getting better with my measurements and stuff. Like, the measure twice, cut once, you know. I mean, that's the thing. So I'm getting better at that. So things are starting to come together. But yeah, I'm gonna pause here so I can go process, and then we'll pick back up to get this part completed. And for you, just like a second, but for me, maybe tomorrow. Okay, y'all, it's been a few days. It's been several days since I checked in with y'all on the miter saw station. And I ran into a little bit of an issue. So the other day I came out here to try to get into the garage, and it seemed like the lock was not working properly. I couldn't get the door open, and it was like it was unlocked, but it was acting like it was still locked. And so I just kind of played around with it and banged on it and did whatever I could do to try to figure out if I could disengage the lock. I was hearing it sounding like it was opening and closing, but it wouldn't open. And so eventually I was able to kind of get it up a little bit, and then I kind of worked it all the way up. It was really hard to move up. And so when I got inside, I realized that the spring had broken. So there's springs on both sides, and apparently they are connected by like a pulley system, but one of the springs had broken and the cable for the pulley was in the track. So the wheels were hitting the cable, I think, which was causing it to be stuck. But also because there's only one spring, it made it extremely hard to lift up. And it's still like that. It took me a little while to try to figure out how to fix it, but luckily they already had a spare spring in the garage. So luckily I didn't throw it away previously, but so I had the spring and I was trying to figure out what did I need to connect it. Well, let me just show you what's going on. I might need Corey. I might need Corey to help me. So it kind of makes me nervous because I think the other function of the springs is to hold the door up when it's up. And so with it being just kind of one-sided, it does kind of, I think, put it at risk of like falling down. So I'm definitely trying to make sure I don't ever like just stand in the doorway here where it comes down. So that's going to be the first thing I do today, is to try to fix this garage door, and then I will continue with the miter saw station. Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot of work to get that up. I need to work out more. So I got these quick link connections. They're made to go on a chain to connect two chains together, I guess, or something like that. It says that this one has 660-pound working load limit, and I don't know what the load is on this spring, but I'm going to try this one. This is the smaller one, and actually when I was looking up garage door springs, this was one of the recommended items that they had. You know, when they always trying to upsell you, this size was the one that they had listed there. So I'm assuming maybe this load is enough. So I have two of these, one to go on either side of the spring. So let me see if I can figure out how to see if I can get this thing connected and test it out to see if that fixes the issue. Okay, so since I did my little investigation, I can see it's great that I have an example on like right here beside it, so I can kind of see how it's put together. But it looks like the spring doesn't necessarily have any connections, like exterior connections or additional connections besides the spring itself. And it looks like this cup hook thing here has like no space in here for this to go in. This one has an opening for it to like hook over, but this one is kind of like closed. So like there's no way to hook this on. So I think I'm gonna stick to my original plan and use the links, because I can't see another way to connect these unless I change out this thing here, and I don't really want to. So I'm gonna do my original idea and see if that works, because I just think it'll be easier, and hopefully it's strong enough to hold it together. I mean, if it breaks again, I can just do something else. I don't have a good way to film this. Yeah, now I'm looking at this sure is little. Yeah, okay. I was concerned about it being too big because I didn't want it to like mess with the amount of tension that this thing gets. I wanted it to be able to stretch out the full amount as much as it needed to, but I don't know, we'll see. So I'll just put that link on there and work this in and then lock it in place. Okay, now I got to figure out how to get that over here. Let's see, how do I get it from here to there? What's this for? Is this something? No? How do I get it from here to there? Too much stuff in the way. Uh-oh. Oh no. This. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we just test it out and see. Did that fix it? Did that fix it? Well, I guess it would help if I put the thing in the pulley, huh? It's not in the pulley. That should probably be inside the pulley. Let's fix that right quick. Okay, now, okay, let's test this out. Item number 1, check. All right, next up on the list of things to do for the miter station is dust collection and electrical. I have this switch here that will allow me to plug in a vacuum, a miter saw, or a table saw. Like I can plug in, I believe I can plug in 2 different tools and the vacuum, and so when one comes on, the vacuum automatically turns on. So I think what I want to do is mount this switch on the inside of this cabinet base so that I can plug up this shop vac and the miter saw together, and they can turn on and off at the same time. So that'll be like I guess like an essential part of the dust collection system. So I'll need to run what do I need? Just a line for an extension cord that can go from this cavity over to this outlet over here. So I'll just need to drill 2 holes in somewhere in the back of this cabinet here to get the extension cord over. And this is going to be temporary until I can get my electrician to come in and run me a line specifically for this. And so once that's done, I'll get him to run it underneath this cabinet here, and so that way this can plug directly into the wall. Also, I need to do a little work on my shop vac because it's filthy, and also I need to change the filters and all of that because right now it doesn't have any filters or anything in it. So hopefully I didn't like destroy it, but I'll need to clean that up. I got new filters, also got a bag as well, and I'll clean out my little bucket separator system here. So this is the dust stopper system, and so it's just basically like a little topper that goes on top of a bucket, and it separates out the larger items so that the shop vac can just pick up the smaller particles, and that makes it last longer. It makes the filter last longer, makes it to where you don't have to clean it out as often. So I'm gonna reuse this. I had 2 of these, but I broke one of them, so we'll just go with this one for now, and we'll worry about the other one later. So I need to clean all of this out and put the new filters in. So, and then also because the miter saw, like the little hole that the sawdust shoots out of, is a lot smaller than this hose on the shop vac. So I needed to have an adapter to be able to like shrink it down to fit, so the smaller connection can fit with this hose. I bought this little adapter system. I'm not sure if this has the right size, but it has 3 different sizes in here. So I'm hoping that one of these will fit and work with the miter saw. So I mean, I'm just gonna try it and see if I can make this work. So I'll need to make a hole in this countertop here to be able to run that line up through there and connect it to the miter saw. So those are kind of like the 3 things that I need to do today for this miter saw station. Oh, and number 4, I need a countertop. I need countertops on both sides so I can just double check to make sure this is the right height that it needs to be even with the countertop. So I want to cut a fresh sheet of plywood to be able to get these 2 pieces of countertop taken care of, and then I can test out the miter saw and see if I made this at the right height and everything. So that's the plan for today. and I am going to go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so I have gotten the miter saw. It's not installed. I mean, it's just sitting up here, so it's not attached or anything, but I got the 2 countertop pieces in place. And initially when I tested it, I thought that there was like a little bit of space, like maybe enough space where I would need to add a washer or something to lift this up just a little bit. However, the countertops are not actually secured down. They are just sitting up here, and so they are like not down as far as they're going to be. When I secure them, it'll pull them down, and then they are perfectly level with this, and the 2 countertops are level with each other. So that means that my plan to make a level base on this side, level it with this side, and then build the cabinets on top worked. So all of this whole situation here is all level with each other, and the miter saw is level. So that is a win. I'm very excited about that. I feel like I'm getting better at all this stuff. You know, it's like it's starting to come a little bit easier. Still have to do a lot of thinking and processing, but I mean, the stuff that I'm trying to do now, it seems to be working out pretty good. So I'm excited about that. The next thing I need to do is the dust collection piece of the situation, and to install this switch. So, you know, I did run this extension cord here behind this bottom drawer here. So trying to decide, do I want to keep pushing or take a little break? Keep pushing or take a break. Sorry, I zoned out there for a second. Okay, so, well, I guess I can go ahead and install this. It has place for 3 screws on the back. So I think I'll just use those and screw this in, just kind of over here somewhere, plug it into the extension cord. And again, this piece is not attached, so I can kind of figure out where. I guess I can just come straight down in the back here and make a hole big enough. If I have, do I have a hole thing for like big enough for that? I think I need to get myself together a little bit. Maybe I'll take a little break, because I feel a little discombobulated. So I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'll come back and see about getting this situation together. Sounds like a good idea. All right, I went and got a little lunch, took a little break. You can probably see the evidence on my shirt. Anyway, what's up? What's up? What? What is it? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. Okay, so let me do this in the right order. Let me mark my holes and then kind of pre-drill it. Then I'll install the screws, and I think this is a good spot right here. I think this is just as good as any other. Oh, I forgot I was recording. Okay. Second thing I need to do is the hose access. So I have these adapters here. I just need to see if any of these will work to reduce. They will not. This is when a 3D printer would be handy. One is too big, too small. Okay, so going to need to pivot. Okay, so I need to do a little bit more research and see if I can find the right size part to be able to do what I'm thinking of doing. So I'm not going to attach this miter saw yet. And is there anything else on my list I can do? The only thing left that I could do is to clean the shop vac. So maybe I could do that. Anyway, I'm gonna pause. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pause and do a little more research and come back with a fresh mind and fresh solutions to get this project finished. That's the wise decision. Hey guys, it's been a little bit of a time jump, but I'm back to continue with the miter saw station. So it's been a little bit since I've been in here, but luckily my past self made a to-do list. So I still have my list and I can see kind of where I left off. So what I ended up finding is this 10 inch power tool holes with 5 fittings and 3 Silly Flex fit fittings. The reason I picked this is because of these extra pieces here that have this flexible silicone rubbery type thing that can kind of slide over the tool fitting to give it a tight fit, and that way I can get the right amount of suction that I need. And there were 3 different ones of these, and I think this bigger size will probably fit my miter saw, and then I can probably use one of these smaller ones for like my sander or something like that. So really glad I picked it. And it has this hose that comes with it. Not quite sure if I'll need this hose, but I mean, I have it if I need it. And I think I can cut this down to a smaller size if I need to. It also has these other fittings that can screw onto a tool if you need it to. I think it can screw onto the tool and also onto this hose. So that'll come in handy, and I don't know, I'll check and see if one of these will fit my miter saw, but if not, I'm pretty sure that one of these red ones will work. So this is where I'm going to end this video for now. I have a few decisions to make on the rest of this setup, and I haven't secured the miter saw down to its final position. I think I'm going to wait until I do some of the rest of the things before I decide on how forward or backward I want this saw to be. So for now, I'm going to call this project done, and once I live with it for a little while, then I can kind of make some final decisions on whether I want to keep the bucket here or put a trash can. Do I want to put a trash can with an access here at the top to be able to just throw small things through the top here down into the trash can without having to open the door? I'm kind of leaning towards that, but I'm going to live with it for a minute and make a final decision. Additionally, this dust collection system is not picking up all of the sawdust. So I think I'm going to just get like a little small 1 gallon shop vac type thing to just keep around, since I want this shop vac to be dedicated for this saw and the other one to be dedicated for the table saw. So that'll keep me from having to unhook all of those connections and everything and switching it out all the time. So yeah, this is kind of the cheap version of dust collection, but I think it's better than nothing. So I'm just gonna go with it. So like I said, I'm gonna live with this for a minute and see how it functions and everything, and then I can make some adjustments later. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, which I'm going to actually start filming right now.